Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's get into Love is Blind, Season 6, Episode 11, Roller Coaster of Love. But before we get started, I noticed the previous two episodes of Love is Blind, we didn't see Kenneth and Brittany. Where are they? So we see more of the people from the pods coming in that did not get matched during this process. So we're now seeing Sarah Ann come in and Trevor. Trevor was already there, but it's really interesting because, the ones that got married, of course, they were in relationship sort of with these other pot people, and now they're seeing them for the first time in some cases. And so Trevor pulls Chelsea to the side and they are beginning to have a conversation. And it is really awkward because Jimmy is there. And when Jimmy was talking to Jessica, it was awkward for Chelsea. You know, in a normal situation, I just don't think this would happen. People having these conversations, deep conversations with their partner there, and they're talking to someone they were in a relationship and potentially could have asked to marry them. This wouldn't happen, but for TV purposes this is happening, and you can tell that Trevor really still wants answers as to why Chelsea chose Jimmy. Trevor does say that he loves Jimmy. He's glad it was Jimmy that she chose, but at the same time he's asking for answers. Chelsea is doing something that if Jimmy was doing this, she'd be upset about. But, she's letting Trevor know you were my number one up until the very last minute. And, I think about you every day. Like, I don't know. I feel like these conversations, we're going to say that this is for TV purposes. Because I wish my man would. Boy, this would be a mess. But Jimmy he's watching out of the side of his eye. He is definitely looking to see what's happening. And he goes over there and he asks Chelsea if she's okay. And she's like, yes. He gives her a peck on the cheek. And then Trevor, being his normal funny self, is like, wait a minute, I'm jealous. I want a kiss on my cheek too. And Jimmy does it. So, Chelsea, you chose wrong. I mean, you just chose wrong. Trevor was the person you should be with. But, the decision is made now. Once you get to the altar, though, you can still say no. We know that you're not going to say yes. I mean, I'm assuming, I have not watched ahead. I'm assuming that y'all are not going to say yes. Y'all keeping y'all's options open. That's what's happening. So now Jeremy and Laura are off to the side and they are discussing, what transpired between Jeremy and Sarah Ann. And Laura is still on level 10. She is 98 hot out here. And Jeremy is basically saying, I reached out to you. I tried to, get you some flowers. You didn't want them. And Laura is like, yeah, Laura, the flowers are not going to fix anything. So no, I don't really want the flowers. And so Jeremy is like, I came in here with the best of intentions. Laura is going back and back and back and letting him know there is nothing that you can say or do right now that's going to make this better. So I believe she's ready to cut losses with Jeremy. I think Jeremy at this point, he probably is too, but for the show, he's probably just trying to, I'm gonna say this because, we are on TV. So, Laura, like I said, she is 98 hot and she is really hitting Jeremy below the belt. He is trying to be level-headed and calm about it, but he also is saying, I disagree with you on certain things, which Jeremy, you can't disagree with what happened. What you did was wrong. Absolutely no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when Laura told Jeremy that you wasn't man enough for me, Jeremy, go ahead on. Go ahead on. But see, what really ticked her off was the fact that Jeremy had she let Jeremy know I'm gonna be by, later in the week to come and get the rest of my things. And Jeremy told her, well, I already packed it up for you. And she said, you packed my stuff? Okay. And that's what set her off. You remember last episode, I said that Laura looks like she would snap on you. And And she is hitting below the belt. So now we see that AD and Sarah Ann, they're kind of off to the side talking. And AD is coming to Sarah Ann like, hey, I saw the DM that you sent Jeremy. You were out of pocket, Sarah Ann. Don't you think you was out of pocket for DMing a man that is engaged and just went on a getaway with the woman he is about to marry? And Sarah Ann says no. And Sarah Ann, what would you do if the roles were reversed? So, Sarah Ann is just basically saying when he broke up with her in the pods, when Jeremy broke up with Sarah Ann in the pods, he kind of left the door open by saying, I don't want to do this. I'm not even sure, but it's just a feeling. And Sarah Ann is saying that really what she should have done back in the pods when he was saying those things is press him a little bit more to, not necessarily quote unquote change his mind, but just to get a response and get a clear explanation from Jeremy as to why he was choosing Laura over her. And since that didn't happen, she felt okay to send the DM to him. Sarah Ann, ma'am, I hate to tell you, but I don't care how you feel about it. The man is engaged, and you should not have gone down that road. You should have let sleeping dogs lie. So as AD and Sarah Ann are continuing to talk, AD says, well, what about the other night when you two were together? And Sarah Ann was like, yeah. So what happened was I was out with my friends. He ended up showing up and she had been drinking. He offered to take her home. Now she said, I promised that he did not come in. We sat in the car and we talked. And so AD was like, okay, but still, there is Jeremy and Laura. So how did it end? Did he come up with you? And she said no, he never, got out the car. But he did leave the door open once again by saying that he was going to break things off with Laura. Ugh, Sarah Ann, girl, what have we gotten ourselves into? Yeah, you shouldn't have gotten in the car with him. If you were too drunk to drive, you should have called an Uber. One of your girlfriends should have took you home because Jeremy was not in a position to be out that late with another woman. Now he and Laura are no longer together. And even with Jeremy telling Sarah Ann that he was going to break it off with Laura, Laura didn't know that. That was not a conversation that they had had. So, I got to give AD props because even though Sarah Ann wasn't going after her man Clay, AD really stepped in and said to Sarah Ann, you were wrong because you knew Jeremy was engaged and you still dipped down in that DM. You slid, baby girl. And you were wrong for that. Now, I'm using my own words, but that's what AD is giving to Sarah Ann. And, AD is right. AD is right. So, AD, let me give you a good job, girl. Good job. So, Sarah Ann is now clearly upset. She feels like AD was interrogating her. And so now she walks off, and Jeremy is kind of following behind her. So, Jeremy and Sarah Ann are now having a conversation off to the side, which again, Jeremy is super disrespectful. Sarah Ann is super disrespectful. Sarah Ann is not taking any accountability for her actions. Sarah Ann, you were wrong for sliding in Jeremy's DMs when you knew he was fully engaged. Period. Period. So Sarah Ann is, letting Jeremy know, I'm not geared to be treated like a piece of boo boo. Well, yeah, you are because you dirty. You got dirt on your hands. And she's Sarah Ann is saying, people need to mind their own relationships. Well, like I said, it wasn't AD's relationship, but AD, I believe in that moment, is being a girl's girl. Like she is on, I don't know the extent of Laura and AD's friendship, but it really doesn't matter. AD was speaking up for women. And Sarah Ann, you were definitely wrong. Your intentions were not good. As much as you want to say that you had good intention or you didn't have bad intention or you didn't mean it, yeah, the underlying message in what you said to Jeremy, an engaged man, was inappropriate. At the least, it was inappropriate. So, Sarah Ann, again, she's not taking accountability, and she is actually saying that she does not apologize for DMing Jeremy. And Jeremy is eating this up, boy. Jeremy is sitting here and he is co-signing everything that Sarah Ann is saying that, Sarah Ann, he doesn't think Sarah Ann is wrong, and she feels how she feels. Sarah Ann, you're allowed to feel whatever it is you need to feel, but here's the thing. What ultimately what you did was wrong. If you wanted Jeremy, then you should have waited until after the weddings to see what happened. And if they didn't, because you clearly think, Sarah Ann, that they were not going to get married, Jeremy told you that he was going to break it off. So what you should have done was just waited until after the altar and then said, okay, he didn't get married to her. Let a little time pass and then you slide in DMs. But for you to do it when he's fully engaged to Laura and believe Jeremy when he's saying that he was going to break it off, you're wrong. You're wrong. So as Jeremy and Sarah Ann are continuing to talk, they're off to the side. Mind you, they're still at this setting with everybody from the pod. So everybody is watching them. And they don't care. They don't care what it looks like. Clearly they have some really strong feelings for each other. So Jeremy said, well, do you want to go ride jet skis? And they do. Again, to me, it's just disrespect. I mean, even if you are done with your engagement, then that's fine. That's one thing. But to do all of this while your person is sitting there is disrespectful. It's completely disrespectful. So now they are out riding jet skis together. They could care less what anybody thinks. So now we are about 9 days away from the weddings, and each of the couples are doing things now in preparation for their day. Jimmy and Chelsea they're actually making an order for an ice sculpture. They want to get an ice sculpture of the letter P because that's going to be her last name is she's going to take Jimmy's last name, which starts with the letter P. And then they kind of do make an ice sculpture of two of wedding rings and kind of put initials in it. So that was a cute little activity for them, and it was really sweet. And then AD and Clay, they went to paint tennis shoes. So I guess there's some place that you can go and they'll have plain white tennis shoes there, and you can create a design for the tennis shoes. So they did that together, and AD's was going to be something bridal, glamour-y type of situation. So I don't know if she plans on wearing them at her wedding at some point. And then Johnny and Amy were just talking about what they want, at their wedding. She was saying that she wanted pictures of her grandparents that had passed away. And he was like, yes, of course, that would be great. And then they circle back to the birth control question. A few episodes ago, Johnny had volunteered to get a vasectomy, and I said, no, why would you do that? You don't already have kids, but he didn't know. And now he's saying he did some research and he was not aware of what all a vasectomy was. So now that he's clear on that, he's like, no, he's not going to do a vasectomy. And of course, previously Amy was thinking that she did not want to be on any type of birth control medication, whether it be the shot, pills, whatever. She didn't want to alter the chemistry of her body. But now I believe she has done a little bit more research and she has found something that may be safe for her. So they have decided to, for her possibly to be on some type of birth control. So now we are about 7 days away from the wedding, and the women are all together at the bridal shop. They're trying on their dresses, and the men are, getting fitted for their tuxes. And, and we're also having Nick and Vanessa Lachey have shown up, and they're talking to the ladies and the men separately. Is love truly blind? Now is the time that we're at the moment where you're going to make that decision. And as the women are trying on their dresses, Chelsea goes first and she chooses a sequins, top to bottom dress, and it fits her. It's a very pretty dress for her. AD is second, and she actually tries on two dresses. Both of them were very clean lines, like just very simple, classic, form fitting, which is very good for her. She looked amazing in both of the dresses that she tried on. And then Amy tried on she wanted to look more like a princess. And so her dress she did have some detailing on hers, but not as much as Chelsea's, but definitely more than AD. AD didn't have any detail. Hers was very clean, very simple, very classic, white lines, so to speak. So they all looked really good. They will all look good on their wedding day. So now we're about 3 days away from the weddings. Yes, we are finally here, y'all. And each of the couples individually are going on, their last little dates together, spending a little bit more time together, right before they have, I'm assuming, what would be their bachelorette parties, I guess. I don't know. But so Clay and AD, they went to, a dinner, looked like they were at like a rooftop bar. And it was a really beautiful, she looked really nice, it was a really nice. And she was like, I'm going to remember this forever. And then Johnny and Amy were actually glamping, which, me personally, no thank you. I don't want it. If we're going to glamp, let's go to the hotel. But nope, they outside, eating s'mores and stuff. That's good, but I want a bed. I want the bed. I'm sorry. And then Jimmy and Chelsea looked like they done shut the amusement park down. It was just them and at the local amusement park, and they're getting ready to ride some rides together. So we're coming to the end of this episode, and Jimmy and Chelsea are having dinner at the amusement park. And Jimmy is expressing his love once again because we all know that Chelsea needs to hear it. Her love language is words of affirmation. She want to hear you tell her 10 million times that you love her. And so he's doing that. He is doing his job. And Chelsea is looking like, I don't know, she kind of sitting there like she's having thoughts, which is odd because she's literally been crying all season. Trying to make sure that Jimmy is sure. And she even said it, since while they were at the amusement park, are you sure? But he asked the final question, I'm just, before we get to the altar, I'm just letting you know I love you, and I'm, ready to do this. And I just want to know your thoughts. And she's sitting there on mute, as Beyonce would say, everybody on mute. And the episode goes off. And I'm like, well, what? What happened? What? Of course, I don't know, but I'm assuming she's thinking about her conversation with Trevor. I'm just making an assumption. This is just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe she is having second thoughts. I don't know. Well, that's the end of the episode. The episode went off, y'all. So we're going to have to come back next time to see what happened. But in the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll catch you in the next video. By the way, we still didn't see Kenneth and Brittany. I guess they gave up on the show. and with no questions asked or nothing. Nobody even is asking about Kenneth and Brittany. But you know, maybe they'll make it to the reunion if there is one. See y'all next episode. Bye.